done me and you bet I felt it. Tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. Fell right through the cracks.
I'm Scott Hammond. I have a story to tell you. My father, Bob, came to a sales meeting where I used to work, and I was so proud of my dad. He came into this meeting, and he was an old sales guy, and he sat there, and I was going to have him share his expertise on selling and people. And he sat down in the chair, and he said the following words: "If you guys are in sales just for the money, you're about half paid." I looked, and I thought, and I go, "Hey, Dad, where's the rest of the speech?" And he sat there as only a dad can do with a son. He goes, "I'm completely done. That's all I have to say. If you're in business for the money, you're about half paid." And he was finished. That was the end of the speech. And it's taken me 10, 15 years to really connect to what he was saying. And that is that relationships and people are really part of business and business acumen. So today I'd like to speak to you a little bit about know you, like you, trust you, and buy you as a sales paradigm. So we'll start with know you. Are you knowable? Do people know you? Are you somebody that they can relate to? Are you in their world? Do you show up? Are you present? Are you in their network? Do they know the real you? Are you in touch with the real you in terms of being transparent and genuine with people? So when you get in touch with that, they will know truly the real you, and then you're unstoppable. Number two, like you. Do people like you? You got to ask the question, are you likable? Somebody that's likable to me is the barista at Starbucks. She knows my drink. I'm 51 years old. She draws a little picture on it, and they know my drink when I walk in the door. And it's kind of simplistic, but they totally know who I am, what I like, and you know what? It sets the stage. Because they serve me, it sets the stage for likability. So do they know you? Do they like you? Now, maybe the toughest one of all, do they trust you? Are you trustworthy? Are you taking incremental steps and actions and putting your money where your mouth is and doing the things that you say you'll do for people and building trust sequentially, incrementally with people that you know and that you want to do business with? And then finally, buy you. When it comes time to buy, if you've done the first three steps, you're pretty much unstoppable, because they may shop you, they may go online and hunt around for price, but at the end, if they're loyal to you and you've been serving them and taking care of them, they will ultimately purchase or buy from you because of that loyalty factor. So my question today is, what are you known for? Do people know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? If they do, they'll probably buy from you and do business with you. And will you leave a compelling business legacy and make a difference in people's lives by the way you conduct your business in life? This has been Scott Hammond challenging you to better yourself every day. Hey, good morning from Maui, Hawaii. This is Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, with a question for you. Where are you right now? What are you doing? And moreover, the deeper question, and the question behind the question is, are you in the present? Are you in the moment? Are you open? Are you aware of your surroundings? Or are you, like I tend to be, type A personality, go, 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 move, 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 rush, rush, rush. What's next? What am I missing? And never really very good at stopping, looking, taking a deep breath and being in the moment. Well, if you're like that, this might be for you. How can you learn to stop and really savor the moment and be present, especially in life and with those you love, and spiritually with God and just within yourself? How do you do that? Well, I'm going to give you 3 steps. Number 1, I think it starts with just taking a deep breath, maybe 3 or 4, and just thinking about where you're at, what you're doing, and being able to have the self-discipline to stop. And just to really pause and be in the moment. Number 2 is to really think about what you want to do. If you're into resting, then rest. If you're into looking around, look around and see where you're really at. Really absorb your surroundings. Now, Hawaii is a great place to do that, because everywhere you look, there's something cool, there's some scenery, there's some cool thing to see, and it's an amazing place. So it's easy to kind of get in that moment. But what if you're in traffic in Los Angeles and you're freaking out and it's a bad day? How do you stop and get in that moment? So number 1, breathe. Number 2, think about what you're doing. Number 3, really look around. Stop, look, and listen, and really be open to the situation, because you never know what lessons lie in even the hardest of circumstances. So I'd encourage you today to stop, savor the moment, breathe a little bit, and see what's in it for you, and be open to your surroundings, and be here now. Like the Jimmy Buffett watch that I'm not wearing says, it only has the word now on the watch face. And the whole idea is be here now. Be present, be in the moment, stop, look, and listen, breathe deep, and enjoy your day. Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, encouraging you to be here now, every day. Hi, this is Scott Hammond, today to talk to you a little bit about leaving a positive legacy. Someone who did that for me in my life was my dad, Bob Hammond, who used to sit around our dinner table and tell stories about World War II and heroics and life and death and amazing things. And he left us a legacy of an amazing heritage that added context and meaning and history to a man that we loved. So my question today is, what's your legacy? Whether you're Baptist, Buddhist, or Baha'i, we all want to leave behind a positive legacy. And I would start with the idea of storytelling as a legacy. Get in touch with what your story is. What are you about? What is your passion about? And then who's your audience? Who will you tell that story to? Who will you connect with that wants to hear your story, hear what you're about, your life lessons? And then lastly, what medium will you use? In other words, could it be a computer and the internet, maybe blogging? Would you write a book? Would you become a speaker and maybe go and tell your story publicly? Would you perhaps write poetry or compose music? So a legacy can look a lot of different ways. People are literally dying to hear from you. People would love to hear what your life was about, and they're lesser for it when you don't leave that great legacy. So today, I would propose that a legacy defines your life both now and later. Leave a legacy with intention. Go out and do it, and you'll find that your life has more meaning for both yourself and those around you. I'm Scott Hammond, encouraging you to leave a great legacy every day. Hey, good morning from California. It's Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, the guide to becoming a better father. Talking to you today on a beautiful, beautiful June day, and it's Father's Day month. And I wanted to talk about a few issues that, are about dads. First of all, the premise of my book, The Everyday Dad, is that a lot of dads are in trouble. We're distracted. There's bright and shiny objects. There's things that we do to self-soothe that are not necessarily healthy. We got a lot of issues, and what it does is it takes a toll on ourselves, our marriages, our families, our kids, our communities, and ultimately our society. So I wrote this book, The Everyday Dad, to help dads and all parents maybe get back on track and to help them to get intentional about their parenting. So one of the questions I ask in the book, name 3 dads in our culture that are absolutely famous and good at what they do. And a lot of people go, ooh, Bill Cosby, and they can't go very far with that because there's just not a lot of models. Not to say there's not tons of dads that are doing a great job. And to you dads out there, word up, dog, keep the faith, keep going, don't stop. But for those dads that are out there, even like myself, who get off track, who lose their way, I want to talk to you today, and I think there's a lot in the book, without pitching the book too much. Oh, I just did it again. That can help you get back on track. So one of the first things that we talk about is, what do you want? What do you want? What's your goal? What's your mission? What's your vision for your life? What do you want? Is family really important to you? If family is important to you, then make it so. Write it down, put it on paper, put pen to paper, write your goals. If it's not, then at least tell everybody that, hey, you know what, family's not important to me, and then live your life, or maybe I should say leave your life accordingly. But the bottom line is, know what you want. Number 2, write it down. Number 3, be incremental. You're not going to change and be the perfect dad, not that there is one anywhere, overnight. The bottom line is, You do little things, you take baby steps, you start small, you start with the little stuff. Start by tucking your kids in. Start by taking them with you when you go to places on weekends. Start by doing small things. Introduce your family back into your life and vice versa. Because it doesn't happen overnight. So baby step, a little here, a little there, incremental, sequential, methodical. Add family back into your life. So write goals, do them, and then number 3, manage your time. Dads, we need to manage our time because time gets away from us. I wind up at the end of the day, my day is gone. Where did my day go? It's like 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't do those 3 or 4 things that are really important to me and important to my family, and it's like I forgot about them. They weren't in my day timer, they weren't in my planner, they weren't on my radar, and I wanted to do it, but I didn't execute. Why is that? A lot of reasons. The bottom line is, manage your time, manage your family, manage your interests, manage your goals, and do it incrementally, slowly, methodically, sequentially, and you'll become a better father. Scott Hammond, speaking of becoming a better father, The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, available on Amazon.com, on BecomeABetterFather.com, and on EverydayDad.com. Wishing you a positive parenting day every day. Hey, good morning from Maui, Hawaii. This is Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, with a question for you today. Do you look at life as I got to, or I get to? It's a key question. If you look at life as I have to go to work, I have to go to church, I have to spend time with my wife and kids, I have to X, then you might be in for a little paradigm shift that'd be good for you. A lot of times what we found is that, just a story about church, a lot of times I didn't want to go on Wednesday night. I just, do I have to go? I'm tired, it's been a long day, feeling kind of snarky, I don't feel great. And I decided, pardon me, to go. And it was the best decision I ever made. Turned out Wednesday church was awesome. I decided to go to that sports event. It was awesome. I decided to go to that party, that thing, X. And you decide to go, and you wind up having the best time of your life. And you couldn't conceive of why in the world you looked at it as a have to, as opposed to a get to. So my word today is this. What are you going to do to change your attitude, your paradigm, your mindset from got to get to? I get to love my children. I get to date my wife. I get to pay taxes. Doggone it, I get to wake up today and go to work because I have a job. And how are you going to get to that place of thankfulness where you're truly grateful for these relationships, for the resources, the blessings that you have, and how you're really going to connect to that and have a get-to paradigm shift? So let me just tell you a quick story. My son, Jesse, challenged me once. I was going to a conference and he goes, Dad, let me ask you, I know you're waffling on going to this thing and spending the money. He goes, if you look back after the conference is over and you didn't go, how would you feel? Think about the things you had missed. But if you go and you go for it, you spend the money and make it happen, look how great you'll feel and look at all the stuff you'll get. So do you want to live with regrets? Or do you want to live knowing you grabbed it all and went for it? So that's my challenge to you today. Have no regrets. Go after it. Get it done. Because you don't have to. You get to. Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, wishing you a get-to day every day. Hey, good morning from Hawaii. This is Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, available on Amazon.com, talking to you today about goal setting. How can you successfully employ good goal setting in your life? Well, my dad gave me this Tommy Hopkins cassette series 100 years ago, and it had a goal setting guide in it. He challenged me. He said, write your goals down. I said, okay, I'll do it. And one day, I started achieving these goals and started new ones, and pretty soon we're on a roll. So I want to encourage you today and show you some evidence why you might want to look at doing that and how to do that. So let's start with this. Did you know that Yale did a study in 1953 and they found out that only about 5% of Americans retired with enough money and resources to have a a comfortable retirement. That's the other 95% did not. And what they found with the 5% is that they set goals. They set achievable yet challenging goals for their lives, and they were able to retire comfortably. So what I want to talk to you about secondarily is finding those chief goals, those number one things that you want to do first. Maybe that's low-hanging fruit, maybe it's what you're most passionate about, and do what Brian Tracy says, and that is eat the frogs. In other words, do the hard ones first. Get the hard goals out of the way initially and out of the gate, and then retire those, and then you can move on to easier ones and replace them with new ones. So let's talk about 10 successful goal setting criteria. Number one, goals must be written. They got to write them down. Number two, goals must be yours. You got to own them. Number three, goals need to be positive. They can't be negative goals. They've got to be something stated and lived in the positive. Number four, goals must be specific and measurable. They have to have timelines. They have to have specificity. That's my 25-cent word today, specificity. Specifically outlining what needs to be done. Number five, they need to be stated in inflation-proof terms, meaning I want to gain 2% on my savings when it's a 10% market. Make them inflation-proof. Number six, they need to be stated in the most visible terms available. Give your goals color. When you write them down, use adjectives and adverbs and describe your goals in full color. Number seven, they need a deadline. Again, timely. Number eight, the goals need to allow for personality changes. You can change your goals because you're human and your interests change. Your interests evolve and you get interested in different things, so you can change your goals. And number nine, they need to be interrelated. They need to contain an interrelated statement of benefits. In other words, in the goal, state the benefit to you. I will lose weight so that I will feel better. And then number 10, they need to be realistic and attainable. You need to have attainable goals, not crazy things. I want to be president of the United States. They need to be achievable yet challenging. So set some goals today. Make your life all that you need it to be. Plan your work your plan. Because if you fail the plan, you're planning to fail. Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, available on Amazon.com. And by the way, I have this goal-setting strategic workbook that you can get on BecomeABetterFather.com, absolutely free. Just go download the PDF, and it's yours absolutely for free. And go grab that today. BecomeABetterFather.com, EverydayDad.com. Have a great goal-setting day, every day.
Hi, I'm Scott Hammond, here today to tell you a little bit about speaking, and I'll start with a little story. I was a non-speaker, and I would always be in venues where people would be contributing to a discussion or some sort of a dialogue, and I could never do it because I was all locked up inside. I couldn't really get out what I had inside of me until I went to Toastmasters, and it's rocked my world now for over 10 years. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about speaking as the number one leadership skill that you can learn. We can teach you how to read and write, and that's great, but that takes a long time. You can teach somebody to speak in short order and become at least good, if not great, in a very small amount of time. It has to do with persuasion. You can become compelling in short order, and thinking, speaking, and learning all relate to one another. So let's start with some of the techniques of speaking. Body language is one. What's your posture? Hands are another thing. Your eyes are really key in speaking. Facial expression. Your tone. Are you way up here or are you way down here? Your rhythm, your cadence, the pregnant pause. There's a lot of tools that one has with speaking that you can master. Let your hands be natural. Let your hands talk with you. That's a really good rule as well for good speaking. So what would you do for content? Well, like any good story, it's tell, tell, tell. I'm going to introduce and tell you what I'm going to tell you. We're going to tell you our content, the core 3 things usually, and then a review, tell you what we just told you. Just like any good movie or any good song, it has an order to the content, so you can construct a really good speech with that tell, tell, tell rule. Remember, speaking is the number one skill set that you can learn in short order. Content is king. Have good content with an open, a body, and a close. And don't forget to present and rehearse before you present, so you'll be very compelling. This has been Scott Hammond wishing you a great communication day, every day.
Hey, this is Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, available on Amazon.com. Here today to talk to you about what I call the hero's journey and what it means to be a balanced man. And my premise is that a lot of guys in our society are really kind of in trouble. There's not a lot of good role models. There's not a lot of good dads. There's not a lot of intact families. Nuclear families, kind of almost a bygone thing. And what's problematic with that is it's churning out a lot of really confused men, young men, boys, and even old men, guys my age that are, super old, and they have issues. So what's happened is the media has portrayed men in some really extreme ways, very super effeminate over here, crazy effeminate, super crazy macho over here, neither of which make a real balanced man. And I'd like to just address some of that. So what are the results? You got some really weird guys out there with some really weird issues, some weird problems, some proclivities, some appetites for things that are probably by and large not healthy for society or for the individual. So what can we do to kind of improve on that? Well, a couple things. Number one is find some balanced guys that are mentors, guys that are balanced men, that are safe people, that model kindness and love for people, love for God. Number two is find some groups, find some teams, some groups, some guys that hang out together that do positive stuff, not the guys that are just getting hammered drunk, but maybe guys that are doing something really positive at church or positive for the community, positive in society in some way, and link up with those guys. Thirdly, find a mentor, friend, father, some guy that you look up to that's a safe individual, a confidant, that you can get good counsel from and get a good exchange. Maybe a man who's got some life experience who would be willing to impart that to a younger man or even an older man as yourself. So there's a lot of ways for a man to go out and find that. So good relationships are key. Be part of a team, be part of great activities, maybe a sports team, softball league, something like that. And lastly, find mentors. One last thing is I think rites of passage are really important for young men. When they have successes in, say they pass their driving test, that's a big one for our society. Maybe a bar mitzvah or something like that when a guy is old enough. Those are the kind of rites of passage, graduations, that I think are really key for young men to say, hey, guess what? You're in the tribe now, you're an older man, you're now a man, you're amongst the group, and to celebrate those. Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, wishing you a great, masculine, and positive, balanced man day every day.
Hey, this is Scott Hammond. I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about the 60-second elevator pitch and how you can make yours awesome. I want to talk to you about the components of what that is, how to create yours in less than 5 minutes, and how to be brief, memorable, and easily understood in telling people about what you do. So let's talk about the components. Usually an elevator pitch has an introduction, your name, your title, your company. Maybe you would tell a brief story about a customer that's super pleased with you, and then maybe drop in a couple unique selling points about what you're about and how you're awesome and what sets you aside from other people. And then what we call the ask. You would ask for specific kinds of businesses or people that you're looking to do business with, and then some sort of a call to action at the end with a hook. Something clever that sets you apart. So if you had 60 seconds in an elevator with Steve Jobs or somebody famous that you wanted to do business with, who would that be and what would you say? The cool thing about the elevator pitch is that you can use it in all manner of venues. You can use it in emails, snail mail, you can put it in your correspondence, and you don't have to make stuff up again and again and again. You can reuse it, and if it's canned correctly and it comes out right, no one will know it's canned because it'll be your original material. So you too can develop a compelling elevator pitch that's brief, that's memorable, that's easily understood, and sets you apart from your competition. This has been Scott Hammond challenging you to better yourself every day.
Hey, good morning. This is Scott Hammond. I'm the author of The Everyday Dad, The Guide to Becoming a Better Father, available on Amazon.com. Today to talk to you about family success. What does it mean to have a successful family? Think about that for a minute. What does it mean when somebody says, hey, your family's a success, they're the bomb, you're doing great? What does that mean? In business, we know that that's money and profitability and things like that. But in family, The markers are a little tougher, so I want to talk to you about the possibility of having family success. What are the markers of family success? And what are some of the strategies that you can use in your plan to have a more successful family? Well, number one is, yes, you can have a successful family. There are those who've done it, who do it. You can see what it looks like, and it is measurable. There are people that have measurable family success. So the question is, of course, yes, you can have a successful family. So number two, what are the metrics? What are the measuring rods, the benchmarks of what a successful family looks like? Well, I would propose a couple. They joyfully participate together. They're hospitable. They're good communicators. They talk amongst one another. They have an open, transparent, and frank relationship with one another that builds on the family character. There's respect. There's honor. They honor and take care of one another. There is a loving culture. A family that's truly in love with each other is a family that definitely stays together and cares for one another. So there are some metrics. So there are measurable things that you can look for in that family culture. Number three is, what's your plan? What are you going to do that's your low-hanging, high-yield fruit that you can grab and do today to make your family a better family? So I would say write those things down and then do them. Find out in your plan what that is. One thing that we do is we just make sure that we have dinner together. We have dinner, we eat, we drink, we talk, we read out of Proverbs, we hang out, we spend time together, and it's awesome. We make sure that we have that every day. I make sure that I do stuff with my kids on weekends. I make sure I take them to worship. I make sure that we have that quality family time, that low-hanging fruit that you can do, that you can introduce in a systematic way that you always do, and it becomes a habit, and it doesn't become to a catch as catch can, miscellaneous thing. So you don't have to, but you get to. Remember the paradigm shift. You don't have to be a family person that works in a family, but you get to. Don't got to, but I get to. So, what's the outcome of all this? Successful adults. Adults that love people, that love God, that are contributors to society. They're not takers, they're givers. And that's the legacy. That's the vision. That is what a successful family looks like. Scott Hammond, the author of The Everyday Dad, the guide to becoming a successful father and a better father, wishing you a successful family day every single